Hello again, Terry Earthwind over at Consortium. And today I have with me Peter Winick. Peter, great to have you with you.
Thanks for having me, Terry.
Hey, so here's the thing. We're doing a 3 to 5 minute gig on, so Peter Winick, what are you doing?
Yeah, well, that's a loaded question, right? So, I mean, what we're spending most of our time doing, and it's been accelerated due to COVID, but it's not a specific COVID issue, is helping our clients really think through how they create value and how they deliver that value. So in the pre-COVID days, many ways that we delivered value were fairly straightforward and easy, right? So as a speaker, you get up in front of a live audience in the same room, and that was a thing that we did, and you spoke and you got paid to do that. What's happened now due to COVID, and then I think post-COVID, it'll be an economic driver, is people need to rethink that equation. And the equation is really, I've got stuff, I've got content, I've got thought leadership, I've got specific groups that I can be incredibly valuable if I get to them. And then what is that modality and how do I deliver value and what is the value proposition? So again, if we use speaking as sort of a before and after, the expectation of someone buying someone from a speaking perspective is you'd be good on your feet, you're entertaining, you're engaging, and then you had your brand not to fall back on, but as sort of the supporting collateral of established author, world-renowned, whatever, former CEO, etc. Today, it's the entertainment value is sort of not important, but it's not nearly as important as it was. And companies are going to be making investments that say, as a result of bringing Terry in front of this group, what are they going to do differently? How are they going to think differently? And how am I going to measure that? And by the way, is that worth the investment? And it's not just getting on a Zoom or something and hitting play, it's rethinking the entire experience. So if I'm trying to teach someone a concept, what are the frameworks? What are the definitions? How do I make that visually attractive? What can I send to them in advance where they're smart, they could read this or watch this short form video to get them up to par, so that we're actually taking advantage of this real-time live interaction that we have together, even though we're not in the same room, because it's incredibly valuable to have interactive time and waste it being, consuming content. We've all sat through these horrible presentations where somebody throws up the PowerPoint in 2-point type and then proceeds to read, every point and doesn't add anything, doesn't add any flavor, doesn't add any interpretation. So you have to rethink the experience, what happens pre, what happens during, and then what activities and things can you set up for folks to do post-event to keep that learning going, to keep that thinking going? What are the challenges you can have for them that says, okay, so tomorrow morning when you're working with a client or you have a conversation with a direct report, try this framework out instead of this. So those are the type of things we're helping our clients rethink, redesign, reposition, if you will, in the sort of world that we're living in today.
Yes, good points. I was just working with someone the other day about how to put their virtual presence together. You're not just speaking at a camera, you're speaking to people.
Exactly.
Project yourself as somebody who's not the car salesman who's jumping at you at the screen and things like that, but you're a real person and you're talking to real people. So talk to them, relax.
No, and I think that's right. And I think some of the training or muscles people develop for physical presence, where, if you're in a room of 300 people, you've got to exaggerate to get that attention drawn to you and hold that. And there's things that you do with your voice, there's things that you do with your body, that if you do that at the same level of intensity in a conversation like this, you're like that late night used car sales commercial where they're screaming at you, and it just doesn't work. So you have to retrain your physical presence to say what's appropriate. You said it right. It's like, it doesn't matter what technology we use. You and I are having a conversation now. Now, would it be better if we were doing this over lunch or a cup of coffee? Sure. But how do we relate to one another? How do I see that you're, where you're leaning into what I'm saying and where you're not leaning in, and all those sort of variables. Yeah.
Yeah. That kind of goes with the book I just wrote about what they're head doing in the conversation closes the sale. So Peter, thank you very much for stopping by and answering the famous question. So what are you doing? It's great. I know I'm going to see you soon. So thanks again for stopping by.
Thanks for having me, Terry.
evolutionary, eve of illumination, healer, to end suffering, to start anew, evolutionary healer, LLC.